If you've been scrolling through endless listings, watching video after video, and still feel stuck between a countertop freezer that spits out half-melted cubes and a commercial-grade machine that will eat up half your kitchen, this review is here to clear the fog. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks actually setting up the Ice-O-Matic UCG100A in a home bar, watching it churn during a weekend party, and measuring how it fits into a tight undercounter space. So let's walk through what that looks like in real life. First, the hesitation most buyers feel is about commitment. An undercounter ice maker isn't a small appliance you can just toss on a countertop and forget. It hooks up to a water line, needs a vent for the air-cooled condenser, and the bin sits right where you'll be reaching for ice. If you're not sure you'll use it enough, you risk a pricey piece of equipment that just sits there, humming. On the other hand, buying a cheap portable freezer often means you'll end up with cloudy, slow-melting cubes that ruin a cocktail or a glass of water. The UCG100A tries to sit in the middle, a compact footprint, decent daily output, and gourmet-quality ice. The question is whether those promises translate to everyday value. Let's start with the physical setup, because that's where the rubber meets the floor. The unit measures just over 18 inches wide, which is roughly the width of a standard dishwasher door. In my kitchen, that meant I could slide it into the gap beside the sink without having to shave off any cabinet. The space-saving claim isn't just marketing fluff. You really do need that narrow profile if you're working with a 24-inch base cabinet. Installation does require a water supply and a drain line, but the connections are standard garden hose fittings, so most DIY-savvy homeowners can handle it with a basic wrench set. The biggest hidden trade-off is the front air discharge. Because it's air-cooled, warm air is expelled from the front of the unit. In a cramped galley kitchen that can raise the ambient temperature by a couple of degrees, which is something to watch if you're already battling a hot summer day. Now to the ice itself. The UCG100A makes what the brand calls crystal clear gourmet cubes. In practice, those are 1-inch squares that are truly transparent. No cloudiness, no air bubbles. They hold up well in mixed drinks. I tested them in a classic old-fashioned, a whiskey sour, and even a simple sparkling water. The clear cubes melt slower than the cloudy ones you get from a freezer, which means your drink stays colder longer without getting watered down. For anyone who takes their cocktail presentation seriously, that's a tangible benefit you'll notice with each sip. Daily output is another point where the specs meet reality. The machine is rated for 114 pounds of ice per day, which translates to roughly 15 to 20 cubes per minute at peak. In a home setting, that's more than enough for a dinner party of 10, a backyard barbecue, or a small weekly cocktail hour. The built-in bin holds 48.5 pounds of ice, enough for a few hours of continuous service before you have to dump it into a cooler. The downside shows up if you run a high-volume bar or a catering operation that needs a steady stream for several hours. You'll find yourself emptying the bin every 30-45 minutes, which can be a hassle if you don't have an extra hand. The bin also sits at the front, so you have to reach over the dispenser to pull the ice out, which isn't ideal if you have limited reach or mobility. One of the quieter selling points is the refrigerant. The UCG100A uses R290A, an environmentally friendly refrigerant with a much lower global warming potential than the older R134A in many legacy units. For eco-conscious buyers, that's a genuine plus. It doesn't change how the ice looks, but it does mean the machine is a little easier on the planet, and you won't have to worry about future regulatory bans that could make the unit obsolete. Who should walk away from this review? If you're a casual family that only needs a bag of ice once a week, the upfront cost and installation effort probably aren't justified. Likewise, if you run a full-scale restaurant that needs a 250-pound-per-day capacity, you'll outgrow the 48-pound bin and the 114-pound-per-day output quickly, and a commercial-grade ice machine would make more sense. Also, if you have an open-plan kitchen without a way to vent the warm air, the front air discharge could become a comfort issue. Who should press the Add to Cart button? Home bar enthusiasts who like to experiment with craft cocktails will love the clear, slow-melting cubes. Small to medium event hosts, think backyard weddings, birthday brunches, or weekly game nights, will appreciate the ability to produce a steady supply without pulling a bag from the freezer each time. Boutique hotels or bed and breakfasts with limited kitchen space can fit the unit under a counter and provide guests with premium ice.